Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leader What podcast. Today, I have another wonderful, amazing, inspiring, empowering, uplifting, and fun guest. My new good friend, Mr. Jordan Molina, aka the LinkedIn James Bond. He has a license to deal and to make killer deals and make it rain by leveraging LinkedIn. So he's the LinkedIn specialist. We connected about a month and a half ago through a
Yeah.
common mastermind that we're taking with our good friend, mentor, and coach, Jay Lee, aka the Sales Ninja. Jay has been my coach, a good friend of mine. Met him on the podcast 2 years ago. Kept in touch, and we met in this program. We were part of the sales closer. Jordan is a born salesperson, born closer, but he still needed to refresh his skills and to take his skills to the next level. He is originally from Vancouver, Canada, and now is living literally on the beach. If right now is evening frame, but if you were to turn out put out his curtain, you will see the palm trees and the beach, literally. So
Yeah.
amazing. And before that, he was in sales for 20 years, software, diamond, jewelry, and of course luxury watches. So sales has been something that has almost been born with it. He's a professional, he's an expert, and I'm excited to have him here not only to share his knowledge, his wisdom, but also he has a very fun, interesting, and intriguing story in life. So that's why he's here. Anyways, without any further ado, Jordan, brother, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Pumped to be here. Lorenzo or Payman. That's your last name, right? Payman? Or Payman is your first name, right?
You know, the first name, let's
Okay, okay.
Mr. Pay, man.
Okay. Payman. Okay, pleasure to be here. Um, I really appreciate you, man, because I respect your hustle. You're one of a kind with your podcasting knowledge. You're like light years ahead of me in regard to podcasting. It's something that I'm looking into. Uh, but I'm just so busy. I'm just so busy that I haven't had the chance to explore that area. But yeah, definitely. Um, I'm looking to do a podcast soon. So awesome. Pleasure to
Yes,
be here, man.
players don't mind. Your Zone of Genius is LinkedIn, My Zone of Genius is podcasting, and we are here to come together and one of the things as part of my branding, 1+1 in math is two, but in real life, 1+1 is not two, but it's 11. Exponentially, it
Yeah,
can explode. So
exactly.
we gotta do some great things and inspire, uplift each other. I'm excited for today. So first of all, tell us, how are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. I closed several high profile clients on LinkedIn, like LinkedIn influencers. Right now I have 3,500 followers on LinkedIn,
Oh,
but but that's peanuts compared to like 70,000 to
oh yeah.
100,000 people. Um in LinkedIn influencers. And right now, I'm working with people who have 70,000 followers and even 100,000 followers. I'm collaborating with right now, and it's just like even though I have a small audience compared to them, they really view me as an expert because I spent the time to establish a relationship with them. It took me months and like 5 months of commenting on their material, and they just view me as an equal right now, and it really feels nice, like validation. These social sellers are like getting like up to 50 leads per week, and I know that that's verifiable. I've seen the results. They've shown me screenshots, and it's just like amazing the kind of traction that they're doing. So for them to see me as an expert on LinkedIn is just like mind-blowingly um, like the ultimate compliment of all time. And so I've worked hard to get where I am, and it just like really, although there's a long way I need to grow. I'm not perfect. My sales process is awesome right now, but it needs to be improved. Just like that's what I love about sales, LinkedIn. You're always learning, and it's a lifetime learning process. You can be super successful, super like killer on LinkedIn, but you'll always have somewhere to improve. Oh yeah, and a big win for me today. I don't know if you know about Tanner Chidester.
Yes.
Okay. So Tanner is a multi-million-dollar coach. And he just asked me to make him a quick video outlining what I do and now how I can help his LinkedIn. So it's like a major win for me.
Jackpot. Bingo.
I mean,
Beautiful.
it's just like all these doors are opening up to me. You know, it's just like amazing. So I'm super pumped for the next year. I'm super pumped to spread. If we do work with Tanner, I'm super pumped to like spread his message. I do have a access to like a team of maybe five people on LinkedIn that'll do the work, that are hustlers, that are influencers, that really know what they're doing on LinkedIn. So um, eventually, if coaches or Tanner want like a done for you process, I have like a super all-star influencer team, social selling team, ready to go to work. So it's exciting, man.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, congratulations. That's massive. That's massive. Well done. And hard work pays off. You mentioned something about having a small community on LinkedIn, but you know what? A small, responsive community is much better than a massive one who don't give a damn
Of
about you.
course.
It's all
Of
about
course, man.
being responsive. It's business is a relationship nurturing process. Once
Exactly.
mature, that
Exactly.
takes time. So you're doing it right. Awesome. We're gonna unpack all of that in a moment. I'm excited. But first of all, we're going to talk about your business and all the amazing impact you're having after. But first of all, for people who don't know you, tell us who's Jordan as a person, as a man, as a human being. Forget about the business. As a person, as a man, human being. Who's Jordan?
Okay. So I'm I was born in a small town in a place called Saskatchewan, Canada.
Oh, wow.
Uh a farming community.
Mm-hmm.
Um I was born and I moved to Edmonton, a place called Edmonton, Alberta when I was a baby. And so it was a good city. So I grew up in Edmonton.
I used to work in Edmonton.
Oh yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, awesome. So yeah, it was cold. I wanted to get out of winter, and so I moved out when I was 19 years old with some friends. Um, and so what happened is my parents went to Mexico to live in Puerto Vallarta because they really liked it, and they just moved there, right? And then that left me and my friends living together. Um, I made some choices when I was younger that weren't too good. Nothing major, but it really made me feel like crap inside. It really made me feel um, bad about myself. Mindset has been a trouble of mine, principally because of my childhood. I had a big speech impediment. Um, I had trouble communicating my thoughts, and who would have thought, that a guy or a kid with a speech impediment who could hardly talk be a sales superstar in the future? Nothing could be further from the truth back then in my mind, right? So to make a long story short, I after like the speech impediment, I got better when I was 16 years old. And I started making friends, and so I eventually moved out. And then I started to feel bad about myself, particularly in my 20s. Uh, just limiting my mindset things and stuff like that. And I tried a couple businesses, but they failed, and I was feeling down in the pit. So I was living with my roommates. So I needed a change. So I moved down to Mexico to where my parents were. I spent my 20s in in Mexico up until I was 35. That's where I met my wife, and that's where we had our son, who's 13 years old right now.
Mm.
And so to make a long story short, my dad had a brain infection about 5 or 6 years ago, and he was in ICU for three
No.
weeks. But it just like these things in life happen to everybody, and you just continue forward. And so we went back to Vancouver where they lived, and so we lived there for 6 years, and then things sort of just happened our way, and now we're back in Mexico. So who am I? I'm I like to consider myself as, before I was an introvert, but I'm very extremely extroverted. I love the energy of people. Um, they make me emotionally stable. I'm a social butterfly, so to speak, from introvert to extroverted, sort of like Jay's um,
Mm-hmm.
um, way of doing things. Also, like his trajectory, very similar stories between me and Jay. So I always try to maintain a lifestyle. Like my LinkedIn, you can see my lifestyle. My Instagram, I have Instagram. You can see my lifestyle. My TikTok also. You can see my, like, I'm very much into lifestyle, but not like Lamborghini. Oh, look at my beach property. Ooh, be like me, buy a course, right? Obviously not, right? Although I do live in a on a beach resort here in Mexico, things kind of like lined up that way, and that's part of who I am. So I don't feel at all bad about bragging about it because it's all about the lifestyle, right? But I don't brag about my place because I want to shove it in people's faces.
Mm.
I brag about my place that I'm working part time. I'm making a great income on LinkedIn, um, even perhaps more than I deserve. I feel, and I'm working 13, 14 hours a week, and I'm having time for myself and my family. If my son wants to go to a movie at 12 p.m. in the daytime, I'm not stuck at a job. I'll be like, yeah, sure, let's go to a movie. If my wife wants to take a walk on the beach at 10 a.m., sure, let's go.
Or take a 3 hour
You know,
lunch on a Tuesday.
or yeah, or take a 3 hour lunch to a favorite restaurant of ours by the
Mm-hmm.
beach.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, let's go. I am not tied down
Beautiful.
to a job. I'm working part time in Mexico. I'm I live in a beachfront property and I'm putting family first. So what's not to brag about that, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
It's not bragging, it's inspiring.
yeah. So throughout my journey, I always like to inspire people that they can have the same thing,
Absolutely.
and that's the primary force. And that's I share a lot about my struggles on LinkedIn. I'm very much a storyteller. I focus on the emotion, the pain points, because I had the same pain points.
Mm-hmm.
Right before, I couldn't tell a story with emotion because that would bring me pain. But right now, I'm over that. And even though I feel maybe that this I shouldn't share this, of course, it's boundaries, right? You can overshare, but as long as you share your story with emotion, as long as your audience can understand and identify with your journey, that's a sure way of getting leads.
Mm.
Not only that, it's not all about getting leads, it's about having people identify with your journey that appreciate your content. I have influencers every day, I have small creators every day. People with 50,000 followers on LinkedIn, 100,000 followers on LinkedIn, people with a couple hundred um, followers on LinkedIn saying, you know, I want to connect with you because your content is really inspiring me. Your content is so good. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that just like makes my day.
Beautiful. Love that, man. Love it. It's all about, just like you said, putting family first, inspiring people. These are things that I can really, really deeply resonate because I'm the same. So absolutely beautiful. Love that. Let's continue. You know, the types of conversations I like to have on my podcast as to Sure, we're going to talk about your business, but I want to get to know the person. I want to have a look under the hood, so to speak, to see what's in
Sure,
their heart, to have a heart-to-heart conversation, answer them leaders with a heart. So to start first, I'd like to ask you a series of rapid-fire questions to further
sure.
get to know you. Ready?
Ready. Let's
All
go.
right. What makes you happy as a person?
Family and making other people happy, like my clients.
Love that. What makes you smile?
In the morning when I do my gratitude routine, looking out on the ocean.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. What's your morning gratitude routine?
I meditate for about 45 minutes
Oh, wow.
minimum. Um, I have a list of things I need to be grateful for. I write them out every day.
Mm,
I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my clients getting 12 leads per week, getting 3 clients per month. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for um, little things that happen in my family. I'm
mm-hmm.
grateful for the progress that my son has doing online schoolwork. I'm grateful for, um, like, I list them out, but then, unlike any other person, and this is the key here, I'm stimulated to action. So I have gratitude. How am I going to act today on that gratitude? And then I write that also.
Beautiful.
I say, okay, so sure, my client is killing it. How can I support him more? Oh, maybe I have him open his DMs. Oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I'm actively searching for ways to support my clients. Okay. Oh, my wife, I'm grateful for my wife. What can I do today to show her my appreciation? Oh, maybe I can get her flowers. Oh, maybe I can do this. Oh, maybe I can do that today. What do I have to? Oh, my son is doing good in schoolwork. How can I reward that? How can I make him do better schoolwork? How can I show my appreciation to him? Oh, I'm grateful for my life here in Mexico. Oh, what actions today am
Mm,
I going to do to show that I'm grateful?
beautiful.
So I
Love that.
write that out every day.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, let's take the happiness factor a couple of notches higher. What makes your heart sing? What sets your soul on fire?
Just I'm very boring in that way. You know, just like a routine,
Mm,
um, just like a routine of gratefulness, a routine every day that I'm seeing I'm progressing. Um, in my younger years, it was dancing, it was loud music, it was, um, drinking maybe a little bit. But now I'm kind of boring. I do what's done. I shut myself in the room and get work done. But
hmm.
then I like to be lazy. I like to be lazy. I like to chillax. I like to um, go by the beach. I like to take 3 or 4 hours walking on the beach at sunset. Um, those really make make my heart aflame. So it's not really like exciting for most people, but I don't care. It's
Mm,
exciting for me. Yeah,
what matters? Awesome.
yeah.
Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what makes you sad and angry?
Um, Anger is a peculiar emotion.
Mm,
I think anger is good, but it
mm,
needs to be controlled. It
mm,
can get out of hand. And and I usually like nip that in the bud before it
mm.
gets to be anger.
How do you do
I
that?
think I think anger maybe in the majority of cases it's sourced in jealousy, like among family, among um colleagues.
Mm,
Uh, I, I used to be that way. I used to be that person all the time on LinkedIn. I used to not invest in myself, buy $100 courses and expect the world. And then when I see people progressing faster than me, I say, "What the hell? I mean, like, why are they successful?" And I used to feed that jealousy monster.
mm. I hear you, man.
The only way not to feed the jealousy monster is to focus on yourself.
That's it.
Ask yourself this question: am I doing everything possible, investing wise, in am I doing everything possible to better myself? Maybe investing in a coach, a mindset coach if we need it, or even like a sales coach like you and Jay, right? Or even, you know, so that we get those results too. Because a lot of what we do is results based, right? Of course, we're trying to help people, right? Of course, that's number one. But
Mm,
if we're continuing giving and we're not making any progress in monetization, well, then we might start to question ourselves: do people really value our work, right? It's not about the money, but it's about attaining the freedom of money to do
mhm,
what you want, but at the same time helping people, right? And that is the key
mhm.
to be progressing in your business and in life too.
Totally.
So along those lines, all of us have to maybe control anger, and because anger really confuses you and sets you off in maybe the wrong path, choosing the wrong um, um, coach, or choosing like the wrong path.
Mhm,
I chose the wrong coach because I was jealous. I he had some results on his page, but I didn't pay attention. I'm like, maybe this is what I needed. But then when I got to the course, I'm like, this is really pushy. I don't want to be part of this community, and it really
Yes.
felt icky. So in reality, anger, jealousy confuses you and leads you down the wrong path.
Mhm. Absolutely. I agree. Now, what scares you?
Okay, what scared me before
Mhm,
is people knowing about my condition before, people knowing about my speech impediment, people knowing about my past.
mm,
But now I can fully say that right now, what scares me is not not being there for my family
mhm,
again. So in Canada, Vancouver, I was lost in a rat race. That's when my business started to flourish. 8 months ago, that's when I started to get leads, inbound leads, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. Um, One day, 8 months ago, I opened up my LinkedIn. I got 3 inbound leads, people asking about my services. I'm like, wow. And then next day I got another three. Next week I got another four. Next week I got another six. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Right.
mm,
And so I just hit my content was just hitting the right points. And so along those lines, instead of like hiring people,
Mm.
instead of forming collaborations, which I'm doing right now, to a little bit too late, blah.
It's never too late.
Um, exactly, exactly. Never too late. But back then, I could have established these collaborations for my lead inflow and not sacrifice time with my family. And that was really hurtful because now I'm all about collaborations. I'm finding collaborations everywhere I go
Mhm.
because I know that, like, if for instance, if Tanner works with us, I can't do that alone.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta have a team.
Yeah.
And now I realize that. But back then, I tried to do everything by myself.
Mm.
And because of that, I have this waiting list. A waiting list can be a blessing and a curse, right? Because right now I'm trying to get rid of my waiting list so that they're not on there for long.
Mm.
But then I'm adding more clients to the waiting list, so it's kind of like, um, so
How do you find the balance?
anyway,
Sorry, how do you find the balance
yeah, go
between
ahead.
when you have people on the waiting list, the balance between them not losing the interest and losing them and keeping them warm and hot? There's a thin line of balance.
Yeah. Well, first of all, they have all the WhatsApp to the members of my team.
Oh, okay.
So they have 24-hour support.
Mm.
Second of all, I have a weekly Q&A that I do with them. All of them on the waiting list. So um they're
Interesting.
not feeling neglected, but they're just waiting for their time with me. Now, what I'm going to do is there's different members of my team that I'm training right now that are taking my course for free, obviously.
Mm.
And so I'm training them to be coaches
Mm.
to people on my waiting list.
Okay.
And it's very exciting to see this dynamic. It's something that I've never considered before, but it's really going to work, right? So I have maybe 2 or 3 people that I'm training to be like me on LinkedIn so that they can teach the same thing to other people.
Mm.
And and along those lines, those people on the waiting list can get helped. And so back then, I didn't really realize that. So I was neglecting my family. I was neglecting everything. Just working, 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 working. And all of a sudden, I'm like, this has got to change. I'm getting so tired. So I left everything, left absolutely everything,
Mm.
and had a 5 month break from everything, my business,
Mm.
my everything, my clients, everything. I went down to LA and just stayed there for a couple of weeks, just with the family, and then internationally moved to Mexico. I found balance. Then I came back in LinkedIn with a new methodology, with a new way, with a new perspective, with a new enlightened way. Before I used to hustle for Before I used to hustle for a client.
Mm.
Now I just let them come to me. And and of course we always got to be continuing to modify our message so that they can
Mm.
continue to come to us, right? And that is key. So
Beautiful. Love that. We're gonna dive deep into that in a moment. Couple of more questions about the uh, to get to know you further. What would you say is your number one personal superpower?
to be adaptable to people.
Mm.
I've learned over the years to tame very aggressive people.
Mm.
I've learned over the years to bring people out of their shells. I've learned over the years to tame proud people and make them a little more humble. I've learned over the years to to deal with extremely humble
Mm,
people that don't want to talk about themselves because they
mm,
believe that they're bragging. I've learned to deal with all those personality types in a balanced way
mm.
and make them feel comfortable because those are my clients. Like I just hit a milestone of serving over 90 clients
Wow.
on LinkedIn over 3 years. And I was just thinking about, it's like about that. And I'm like, wow, all these clients were afraid or they were too proud or I mean, they were all ideal clients, of course, right? But once I got to know them, I said, okay, so I learned how to really talk to them to bring them out. I had a somewhat of a bad experience with the client because I kind of misread her. This happened like maybe a month ago. And so I'll just briefly tell you about it because people are gonna say, why is he sharing a mistake that he did with the client, right? But I don't care anyways. So what happened is that she had a mindset about putting herself out there and about pricing, right? She didn't want to. She's like, well, what if I charge this and don't get them results? And I'm like, so do you get your clients results? Yeah, I do. Okay, so I was kind of like forceful with her. I was kind of like, okay, kind of like too direct, and then she reacted badly. She got
Mm,
angry, and so I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to upset you. What can I do or say to make this process of pushing the envelope for you more comfortable? And then that question sort of like calmed her down,
mm,
and then we talked. I listened. I realized what the problem is, and now she's taking baby steps to correct it. It's all about those baby steps, right? I- and it's all a learning process. I totally misread how to deal with her. Thankfully, she didn't cancel everything because at that time, I'm like, whoa, she might be canceling here. I'm like, if she does, it's okay, right? But then, really asking that question, she really calmed down, and we had like a normal conversation, communicative adult. I told her, listen, I mean, I love what you do. I said, I'm just trying to help 100% because I believe that you have a service that will change many lives. I said on LinkedIn. So, and so she kind of like calmed down and she kind of let me know what the real situation was. And it's all about communication and all about um, using your words to adapt to people.
mhm. Beautiful. Love that. Love that. You mentioned some powerful things, especially how to tame, aggressive, arrogant people, also how to help shy people, reserved people to come out of their shells. You can do this could be an entire masterclass on their own because these are incredibly valuable
Yeah,
talents and gifts. What is business? Forget about business. What is life? It's about communication, being able to communicate and connect in a way that the other person sees you on their side, not trying to fight with them. So that's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, powerful, powerful. Now, what is one thing that you used to value that you don't value anymore?
One thing that I used to value is I used to be addicted to the hustle. I
Mm,
thought working more hours meant more clients,
mm,
but no, nothing could be further from the truth. And I'll tell you why. Of course, it's hard work,
mm,
but you always got to find ways to work less with the same or more results.
mm,
If you if you're working on a strategy that takes hours and hours to implement, that you're hustling hard,
mm,
that's not the right strategy. I'm sorry. It might be working for you, but it's not the right.
Sure.
Frankly, it sucks. Even though working hard and you're working many hours, your strategy still sucks because there's always ways to find
Mm.
that you can work less with more results. So there's this influencer on LinkedIn that I love. You know, he has 200,000 followers
Oh,
with good reason. He's his name is Nat Berman um on LinkedIn, and he just like tells you what it is. He's working part-time. He has like a nice nice house, a pool in his backyard. Like he's got like a multi-million-dollar business working part-time.
beautiful.
And so, and he's always there for his family. He's got two little kids. And I mean, just like just like appreciating others' messages affirms what I'm doing is correct. And so I used to value the hustle. And
Mm.
I'm like, okay, I work 8 hours. I work 8 hours today on LinkedIn, but I felt good. I'm addicted to hustle. I'll work 8 hours tomorrow on LinkedIn and 8 hours the next day, and let's get this. But no, not anymore. I don't value that anymore
Sure.
because it took too much of my time. It damaged the relationships that I had. I mean, if you're single
Sure.
and you don't have anything else to do, do it.
Mm.
Do it.
Yeah.
Work 16-hour days on LinkedIn. Do it. But if you're single or married or whatever, doesn't matter. If you value your free time and you just want to chillax, be lazy, maybe um watch Netflix once in a while, maybe go on the beach or maybe just like hang out with friends, go for a drink. I mean, it's all about working less
Hmm.
with more results.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what is one thing that you didn't value that you're valuing?
Oh, that's easy. And I talked about this before. The
Mm.
value of teamwork and
Oh,
collaborations.
yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
100%.
Mm.
100%. Um, my business partner, his name is Mark Ramsey, and we got to know each other like over a month, and we're like best friends now. I mean, just like amazing. He's his message is like it's spreading like wildfire because he's getting to be like a LinkedIn influencer right now.
Mm.
Um, he actually made an event, in-person event, and all of the LinkedIn influencers came to his in-person event
Mm.
as speakers. So that's the amount of influence that he has. I mean, not only that, like people like him and people like me and people like you, the people are drawn to us.
Sure.
We attract people because of the way we are.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't tapping into that potential before. I thought that I had to do things by myself.
Mm.
But ever since I came back to LinkedIn, I started to network more. I started to get to know more creators. I started to collaborate. Even right now, like big names. I mean, like huge names on LinkedIn are in my DMs asking for coffee chats with me.
Really? Wow.
I've had two coffee chats with two major LinkedIn influencers. One of them came on our live, and another one is going to come on our LinkedIn live webinar in January.
Amazing.
So, so it's like all about collaborations and all these like are super successful. I'm talking about like 20, 30K months on LinkedIn that they're making, and like just to be in that circle and just to be considered as a potential collaborator with them is
Sure.
just like mind-blowingly awesome, right? And it's just
Absolutely.
like um it's a power of collaboration. A- and if I get like other clients that are major huge like multi-million dollar coaches, guess who I'm going to knock on the door to be part of my team?
Sure.
Those LinkedIn influencers, because they know how to get results,
Mm-hmm.
same like me, right? So it's all about like spreading the wealth, collaborating. And LinkedIn is a C. One, just statistics, 1 billion users on LinkedIn,
Wow.
200 million only posts, but their posts are crap. 200,000 are valuable posts, posts that have an actual content strategy. So just to give you an idea about the potential of LinkedIn, that's that's 200,000 out of a billion people that you can spread your message to.
Wow.
You don't think you'll find a client in 30 days? Of
Sure.
course. Of course. And a high ticket client? Of course. Of course. And so the statistics are really in your favor on LinkedIn.
Mm.
And so that is what I value now is the potential to collaborate. I like for instance, um these other collaborators do the same thing I do. They're my competition,
Mm.
but I don't care because there's a lot of business on LinkedIn to go around.
Absolutely.
And plus, if your message is unique enough, like for instance, this one LinkedIn influencer, he's from Italy, he lives in Japan. His name is Steph, right? So let's say if a person chooses Steph over me, I'm like, go for it.
Sure.
You you found Steph's material, you identify with Steph more. That's awesome. But there are people who are going to choose me over Steph because they identify with me more, and that's
Absolutely.
okay, right? So it's
Hmm.
all about this unique stance, and it's not about competition, it's about collaboration.
Absolutely.
And
Love that.
that's what I value right now
I love that.
more
Love that.
than I did.
Yes. And I noticed that more and more people, at least the people that actually understand the value and that are really doing about service and doing good, they putting collaboration over competition. They understanding that.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Before I used to never do that. And I have coaches to this day that I worked with that were awesome coaches that don't understand that still.
They see everyone as competition. They say, no, no, no. And that's not about to say it. Yes.
Yeah. And so
Us.
and so I one of them is from Scotland. I'm like, bro, I mean, like you have it all wrong. Like me and him are like best friends, right? It's like,
Mhm.
bro, you have it all wrong, man. He's not your competition. Stand out and you're unique, and
That's it.
they'll choose you. And but he's like, no, man. Anyways,
Yeah,
so
totally.
so to each his own, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
so anyways, yeah,
The name of the game is in today's world, especially business, is there's a cheesy line in real estate. I'm sure you heard it countless time. That is location, location, location.
yeah,
After living and doing business abroad for the past 15, 20 years, I realized something similar. I call it the rule of the three Ds:
uh-huh,
differentiation, differentiation, differentiation. Meaning, what me and you and every single entrepreneur,
yeah,
professional, we have to ask ourselves, what do I need to do today and
yeah,
every day?
exactly,
Elevate myself,
exactly,
separate myself to be seen from just being another LinkedIn expert, a podcaster, or sales coach,
exactly,
or even a
exactly,
baker or
exactly,
mechanic to being seen as the expert, the authority, the leader.
exactly.
Yeah, love that. Let's move forward. I love this. You like traveling, right?
Yeah, of course, man. Who
Mm,
doesn't?
absolutely.
Well. Actually, I do know some people who don't like traveling.
Really? Is that even possible?
Yeah, it's crazy. They live in their own little world. They want to
Yeah.
live their own life in the one spot that they grew up in, and I'm like, okay, whatever, man.
As long as they're
It's your
happy,
loss, bro.
As long as
Yeah,
they're
I
happy.
mean, as long as they're happy, that I mean, it's all good, It's all,
Exactly. So we can do an entire episode on traveling another time.
yeah, man.
But today, I want to take you down a different type of travel, down memory line. Go back to when you were
Sure.
growing up as a kid. You know, when we're kids growing up, people around us, family, relatives, friends, neighbors, teachers always ask us, "Hey, Jordan, what do you want to become when you grow up?" What was your answer to that as a young boy?
Uh, I didn't really think about that because I had a tough childhood.
Mm,
Um, I didn't have the luxury to think about positive things
mm,
because um, I had a tough childhood, um, dealing with uh, some brain damage that happened to me when I was a baby.
mm,
And so, it really soured my position.
mm,
Like all this is public knowledge. I share this in my content from time to time. Um, People used to come up to my parents when I was like 8 years old and say, "Hey, what's wrong with your son?
wow.
Is he retarded? Is he this? Is he that?" Um, Kids used to relentlessly tease me, of course, but I was kind of bigger, so they were kind of scared of me. And so like push comes to shove, if they pushed me around, like I could defend myself basically, but it never really came to physical. Sometimes it did. Sometimes it came to like physical fights, and they wanted to test me.
Mm,
Usually to their demise because they were like smaller kids. And of course, I don't encourage fighting, but I encourage defending yourself.
yeah.
Um, just like taking down this um chip down memory lanes, it's like sort of like coming back all like the emotion of what I felt.
Mm,
But it's like you live, you learn, right? People say, "Do you regret your childhood?" And I say, no, I regret the things that I probably did in my childhood that led to things being worse for me back then. Uh, because when you're a child, you can't really process things correctly,
mm,
and your emotional maturity level isn't like mature enough to like. Usually, it comes out in fits of anger. Usually it comes out in uh like just like depressed and like crying. Like I used to come back every day from school either like crying or depressed,
mm,
and that's like every day, right? And until I got in this one school that was okay, and I really liked, and my teachers were very supportive,
mm.
and they had like this entire support system for like people with disabilities. So I really appreciate that school. But yeah, I never really had the luxury of thinking
Mm,
what I wanted to be when I grew up, because I was dealing with it then and now. I was dealing with things in childhood that no one should have to deal with, even though I'm full aware that people may have had a way worse childhood than me.
sure.
And there are people, obviously, but it's just like part of my story, part of who I am. And do I regret my childhood? No, because I'll tell you why. Because all things have led to the man that I am right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are where you're meant to be. Everything you go through. prepares you for the next stage of your evolution.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, what was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school growing up?
I like school, but I was like super lazy. Yeah, um I went through the motions of schoolwork because it was required, but I never was a straight A student. I was always like maybe C minus or B student
Mm,
or stuff like that. And um I I never really saw eye to eye with teachers sometimes, and I used to goof off. I was a class clown. Be because I felt the need to show off because I was like the person with the disability. I wanted people to like me when
mm.
I was being made fun of. So I used to do like funny things. I used to mimic the teacher behind her, right? Like making funny faces and talking like her and stuff like that. And when she looked and then when she looked back at me, I'd be like serious and stuff. And people just thought that it was hilarious, and 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 that's how it kind of like made friends superficially, right?
Were you like the guy, like the kid that, and when the teacher played a video back then, you had a remote control in your pocket, you just turn off the TV?
Yeah. Yeah,
I did
yeah,
that too.
yeah, yeah, man. I was a prankster, like class clown to the epitome, and so yeah. I mean, right now, I don't. Well, there are many contradictions, many opinions about school, whether it's good or bad, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I believe it's good. Because it teaches, even though they may not teach you practical things, it kind of like trains your mind to study, right? It trains your mind to do things that your mind's not used to,
Follow structure.
right?
Yes, discipline.
This full of structure, discipline, and stuff like that. So that's good. In regards to the things that they teach, I think it's a little bit, well, I think it's outdated, obviously, right?
Mhm.
They should focus on more on money management
A lot of other
and
skills, yes.
and life skills that our children are going to need.
Imagine if they
Um,
were to teach us
I
sales,
Yeah,
negotiation, or how to talk
yeah,
to the opposite
exactly.
sex,
Uh,
and how to
exactly,
things actually
exactly,
matter.
exactly. So my my son is taking like an online school course, which is on the ball because in there in his math lesson, there was a lesson about finances, economics,
Mm.
managing money, investing in the stock market. It showed like all these things that are like, wow. I was like blown back by it. I'm like, whoa, this is like so like right now, especially with my son, um, right now I'm teaching him sales.
Beautiful.
Like he's gonna be a sales superstar
You know,
um, when he gets
some,
older.
some of the big people that are very successful, they bring their kids and they're meeting from as soon as they can, just to sit there to get familiar with the people, understand their lingo, and get familiar. Before you know it, by the time they're 10, 11, they have the business.
Yeah, no, actually, what we're gonna start doing is he's gonna start DMing people on my LinkedIn because
Wow.
he knows my DM strategy. And
Beautiful.
so I'm gonna pay him a little wage, and and so like incorporating him in the business, like DMing people, or maybe even when he's older, handling sales calls for me.
That's the
I
greatest gift you
mean,
can give him.
perfect, perfect. And if he flubs up a little bit, that's good. I mean, like, um, I won't get mad. I'm like, okay, try again. Don't worry about it, And but I'm working with him, like with doing his schoolwork and you know, trying to teach him life skills
Mm.
necessary, to survive. And
Absolutely.
I think he's really getting the point right now. Even though there are times when he thinks mom and dad are lame, right? Because he's a teenager, right? He's like, "Oh, mom, oh, dad, you're lame, bro." And I'm like, "Okay, that's okay." But yeah, yeah,
Awesome. That's awesome. That's amazing to involve your kid in business as soon as possible. That's honestly one of the greatest gifts parents can give to the kids, teaching them about real life values, lessons like money management, how to use money, investing, how to use debt for good and not debt to get burdened, and
yeah,
communication, sales. That's
yeah,
amazing. Wow.
yeah.
Do you remember what was your very first job? And do you remember how much you get paid that first time you worked?
Okay, so my very first job, um, actually, this leads me down to another story
Yes,
that that I can share.
please.
Um, so I I'm a software engineer. I have my degree in software engineering. So I know various programming languages, C++, um, even a little bit Fortran, old school, you know,
Hmm.
um, QBasic, C Sharp, JavaScript, um, like you name it, I can learn it, right?
Mm,
My first job was actually an extremely profitable one, believe it or not, because I was kind of like, when I was 16, I made an inventory tracking system
mm,
for an orthodontic office.
wow.
Like they need to keep track of every little piece of braces or every little piece of inventory. Like even going down to the little elastics that they put in your teeth right here, uh, for mechanisms. Like I had braces, right? So
Mm,
what they do is that they have like a bridge of metal, and then they put the elastics here, like this right here, right? So even every single little elastic need to be accounted for, like little pieces. So I designed uh an inventory tracking control system for them.
mm,
And I got my first 10 grand when I was 16.
wow. Amazing. Amazing.
They wanted like ongoing support, because they wanted changes, and I'm like, I didn't want to do it, so I'm like, okay. So I just threw out a number. I'm like, okay, I'll support you, but for $120 an hour.
Wow.
And then they said yes. And I'm
First
like, oh
commitment.
man, okay, cool, awesome. So that was my first job. That led me into another direction when I was super young. Uh, I eventually was making $250,000 a year, um, when I was 17, 18,
Holy.
19,
Wow.
20, uh, with uh, with a program. Back then, it was like the early 90s, and I was doing things that other people would have dreamed of doing. Like back then, the demand was super, super high for like web uh, applications and
Wow.
websites and all this. So that was sort of like my business. I got introduced, by a good friend of mine to a couple investors that he trusted. So I met with them. We hit it off, and then they invested in the company. And then for a certain percentage, they took like 20%. Oh no, they took like 25% of the company. I stayed with 75. So they kept on influxing, and then we started to build the business. But then, I was so stupid. I mismanaged money. I bought things that I shouldn't have bought. I should have bought a house. I didn't buy a house. I went down to Dominican Republic, worked there, spent 7 months in an all-inclusive resort,
Living
just
it
like
up.
blowing my money. It was super stupid.
Mm,
and eventually, probably, I don't know, probably because of my behavior, and probably because I was young, and probably because of um the investors not being very good people. The
mm,
investors pulled out. They left. They took their earnings. They didn't pay me or anything. And then eventually um, the company went under. So that really hit me hard.
sure.
And you know, things I could have done, things I should have done. My mindset was blown to bits. I didn't. I was living in fear every day. Um, Not wanting to start another business until 3 years ago, actually. So um, so it really took me about maybe about a good 15 years to get over that,
Mm,
like, blowback from my business, and blaming myself, and just like it was like a very extremely bad moment for me. And I had to work with mindset coaches.
mm,
Like I told you before, I invested um I invested in a mindset coach that was a licensed psychologist. And he helped me sort a lot of through these feelings.
mm.
And so and so yeah, it's been a long journey, but you live, you learn, and you succeed eventually, right? And
Absolutely.
you lose your fear, or you have fear, but you do it anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about that in a moment. I just have a couple more questions about you growing up. When you were growing up, were you popular with the ladies?
No, man. No,
I don't believe
no,
you.
no, no.
I don't believe you.
No, no. Uh, uh, I'll tell you a funny story. I'll tell you a funny story. Okay. So, so this one girl, her name was Sabrina.
Hey, Sabrina, shout
She's
out to you.
Yeah, she's sit beside me, and like I always had like muscles, right, when I was like younger, right, and they used to be like big, and so she's like, show me your muscles, and so I just like she used to feel it, and so we kind of like liked each other. And one day one day when I was like 13, I didn't know, I didn't notice how I smelled. And it was that time in puberty where I should have been using deodorant,
Mm,
you know? And people, she was sitting beside me and said, Jordan, you stink, man. What's up? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I do, right? So that was the kind of luck that I had with ladies,
ah,
growing up. La- Like when I was 18, 19, 20, things were a little bit different. I had a little more confidence, but in reality, I didn't have a lot of girlfriends,
mm,
principally because that was my focus, and
mm,
principally I was very attuned with other people's feelings. If I was interested in a girl, I'd tell her. If not, if they were like pursuing me, which like somewhere like actively pursue me, I'd be like very blunt with them, like, no, forget it. I'm sorry, go away.
mm,
You know, so I didn't want to take advantage of that, because even from a young age,
mm,
um, I felt bad, not pity, but bad for them,
mm.
because they're human beings, you know, and
Absolutely.
they have feelings,
This
you know.
karma. Yes.
I would back then I was sensible, and I was like, I would never flirt with somebody just to lead them on in cruelty.
Mm,
I would only flirt with people or flirt with girls who I liked, who I wanted more a romantic connection with.
sure.
And I believe that that was the smart move. I believe
Absolutely.
that that was loving.
Mm,
For the people who like I like I had a girl park for hours waiting for me to come home
wow.
outside of my apartment one night.
Please tell me you're not with another girl inside.
Yeah. Eh, 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 And so I didn't notice her at first.
Yeah.
Like I went into the apartment and and my roommate said, "Hey, is that Kelly in the car?" And I'm like, "What, Kelly?" And then I see her. She's in the car, and I'm like, "Well, what's up?" So she came. She came. We talked, and I'm like, "She's like, yeah, I." The reason why I'm parked is because I was thinking about us. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, there is no us. I said,
Mm,
I mean, there is no us. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry that you waited hours in the car, but that was your choice. I didn't ask you to do that, and so there's nothing more to say here.
yeah. At least
And
she knows
bye
what.
bye, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
and so I know that it may seem cruel to somebody, but to me, I was just like drawing the line. Okay, you know,
Actually, that's the
the,
honest way to do it, you know?
this is going to be like ripping off a band-aid for you,
Yeah,
but it's going to be the best way,
sure, absolutely.
and you'll find another person that cherishes you in that way.
That's the honest way.
And so
Seriously. Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. How did you meet your wife?
I I met her in one of the most beautiful cities in Mexico.
Mm,
Um, we in a place called Guanajuato, Mexico.
mm,
So I I was I was in the town. We eventually met through a group of friends, and we kind of hit it off. We talked a lot. I thought she was very beautiful. She thought I was very handsome. You know, um, and then we kind of talked. We exchanged numbers, and then I didn't see her for about a couple months after that. Just texting each other and stuff like that. And then one led thing to another. Uh, uh, we've been married for 17 years now.
beautiful. How did you know, or when did you know that she's different and she's the one?
Well, what really attracted me her was her humility, and
That's huge.
and even though she was a knockout, she'd always not look for the spotlight,
Mm,
um, and she'd always not. She wasn't proud at all, and she was extremely humble and extremely um, she wanted to make me feel comfortable. She wanted to make others feel comfortable around her. She was just that kind of a girl. So that principally, like, she's a knockout, and also with that kind of humility, it's just like a winning combination. And I'm like, okay, I think it's worth to get to know this person. And
mm,
yeah, that's what initially attracted me to her.
beautiful. Love that.